Hello, and welcome to Access Humboldt's Community Voices. My name is Paul Bressoud. I'll be your host, and today we're speaking with Morgan McEvoy, the president of the board of Zero Waste Humboldt. So, Morgan, can you tell us, what is zero waste?
Zero waste is a lifestyle that's a more modern way of thinking about reduce, reuse, recycle, and focusing more on the prevention and the reduction of the waste in the first place, and composting rather than aiming more at the recycling part that people tend to focus on.
So before we ever get to the recycling process, we're teaching people to use less things that will be recycled?
That's correct.
And then how are you getting that message across to people to use less things?
We do that in a number of ways, through public education and breaking the habit in the first place. We do it by working with local governments to stop the waste in the first place. And then we also do it through advocacy and training programs, essentially.
So I noticed, I was a career teacher at Eureka High School, newly retired, that they had water machines put into the school where the kids could bring their own receptacle, fill it up, and then instead of having plastic water jugs all day. Is that the idea of Reduce? Is that how you reach out to groups?
That's correct. That's for those aim to encourage people to choose that route. Instead of having to buy a single-use water bottle, they actually have the option of getting local water, and our water locally is great. So
when you're talking about breaking habits,
mm-hmm.
I mean, my God, I worked at a high school with 1,400 kids, mm-hmm. getting them to change that habit. What other things are you doing to help people break habits?
Well, we do have training locally. We're working to have zero waste certifications for local businesses, and then encouraging people through encouraging businesses to have like box charges when, rather than bringing your own Tupperware, bring your mason jar to fill your coffee, this kind of thing. And if you really focus on educating the kids, a lot of the times they bring it home and they change their households from within.
So tell me about a business training. Are those for small businesses? Do they have to be a business of certain size or type?
No, it's really for all businesses. We want to focus on literally every business in Humboldt. We want to do different restaurants, salons, this sort of thing to encourage them to do that. But we are working with the city of Eureka right now to create a zero waste program for them.
So when you go ahead, and I'm going to go back to the businesses, then we'll talk about the city. If you're going to talk to salons, if you're going to go talk to restaurants, do you have a training that has all restaurants or all salons or all service stations?
Ideally, yes, that's what it would be. It would be a group of 20 to 25 local businesses that would come and sit, and we would have a conversation about their concerns and what we can all do together to make it affordable and better for them.
Do you provide things for them?
No, but there are a lot of local companies now, say, just to focus on restaurants, like corn straws, compostable boxes, compostable bags, these sort of things. And there's local companies, worm companies, that will come pick up all the waste from the restaurant and move that and pick up mash for pig farms, this sort of thing. And so when you're doing that, you're diverting all the waste from the landfills, and then essentially not creating trash.
Is it easy to get people to buy in Humboldt County?
Easier than a large city, I'm sure.
Have you worked in zero waste elsewhere besides Humboldt County?
No, just in my personal life. Try to practice it, but and in my my family. But in Humboldt County, it's been a little easier.
Is zero waste something that's across the state of California? Is it a national movement?
It's actually a worldwide movement. A lot of people are becoming more aware, especially with those giant islands of plastic that are floating around in the ocean. It's becoming, plastic particularly is a conversation on people's mouths, but like food waste is obviously another one. A lot of places in Europe and the United States are making sure that the grocery stores aren't wasting stuff in the first place and not overstocking the shelves. They don't have to be, every cucumber doesn't have to be individually plastic wrapped, these sort of things.
So going back to, you said you got the city of Eureka to go ahead and buy in and work towards zero waste. How do you work with a large municipality to try to get to train them?
I think it's a prevention through examples. So we can't obviously ask people to live a zero waste lifestyle if you go into a city office building and they have solo cups or bottled water bottles, these sort of things. So we want to have reusable glassware on hand just from the beginning, and then encourage them to use scrap paper and use email when possible, these sort of things that stop the waste in the first place. So that. And
then do they go through a series of trainings with you?
Yes, that's correct. Maggie Gaynor, our lovely vice president, is working right now with the city of Eureka to create those habits with the city of Eureka, and they have a wonderful team too. So.
And there's many jobs within a municipality. I mean, that's all across the board. You're talking every aspect of the city about zero waste?
Yeah, ideally, that's what the end game is to create that policy across the entire board, and then.
Is Eureka the first city in Humboldt County to be working with you?
No, City of Arcata, I believe. We created a zero waste action plan with them, to my knowledge.
And do you go reach out to other cities in order to get them involved?
Actually, I believe the city of Eureka reached out to us.
Oh, far out. And then do you go ahead, say you're training the city of Eureka, do you bring in people from representatives from, say, all over Humboldt County so they can get a look at it maybe? Yeah, we actually have an event coming up on August 7th. It's the first one for the city of Eureka that they're able to, the public's able to come and learn how to reduce their waste within their lives, and the city, people from within the city and other cities are welcome to come as well and learn how to reduce the waste in their lives. Fantastic. What about educational curriculum that goes into schools? Is there zero waste curriculum?
I think in the past we have done lectures with students and that sort of thing. Luckily in Humboldt County, a lot of people are practicing that in their houses, but it can always be grown upon.
Sure, it'd be good to get those kids, teach them that in kindergarten,
exactly.
About being zero waste. And we see examples of it all the time. I bought my reusable beer cup to watch the crabs this year, so I don't have
that's
to
great.
Yeah, so that's an idea. And we see it at some of the festivals that, the Oyster Fest or whatever, they had the cups. I mean, that's one little step, but that's the way.
Right, and I'd like to see that more across the board and more of the festivals and fairs that we have in Humboldt County.
Do you think that, and I think they don't give a big enough discount at stores for people that bring in bags and their own containers. We should, reward those people more.
I completely agree with you. That's true.
If we're charging for bags, what are we taking? 3 cents or this is your bag tax, 3 cents? 3 cents?
I know. I think that's exactly what the bag must cost them is really what I don't think they're able to charge more. I think that might be an actual break on what the bag costs, so you can't make a profit on a bag potentially.
Really? Well, maybe Zero Waste can give some examples to people in order to do that. So you're talking to Eureka, you're getting this education out. I mean, is there an action plan for zero waste as it goes on into the future as you're training people?
The action plan is that eventually it'll take care of itself and we won't have to do this anymore.
So you want to educate yourself out of a job?
Ideally,
that would be the ultimate?
That's
definitely.
But
you don't need me anymore? You just.
Yeah.
Do you think, how feasible?
Well, we're aiming for the long term here, but hopefully it's the short term. But ideally within Humboldt County, it should ideally be it's really doable. I think everybody's on board mentally. We're blessed enough to have people that have that way of thinking anyway. So if we continue on this path.
So it's like low-hanging fruit. It's easy to do.
I wish it were so easy, yeah.
Is there any, for the people that are at zero waste, is there a desire to go elsewhere where it might be a little tougher?
Well, as far as we venture into southern Humboldt, there's sticklers in every city, and so as we go into different cities, we're going to have those battles to fight. But if it goes onto a statewide platform, that'd be great too.
That would be great,
I
too.
come from a more conservative area, so if I could...
What part of the state?
I was from Los Angeles, and Valencia is where I was from originally.
And so did you see examples of zero waste down there?
No.
No.
No, but it's really nice. You know, San Francisco Airport has the reusable or the refillable, but when you go to Los Angeles, it's fewer and far between.
And then have you traveled nationally and seen any examples of zero waste, or is it still kind of behind the curve?
I think within certain communities across the United States, there are like zero waste advocacy, but it's on a city-to-city basis. Unfortunately, it's not really there are like there is a Zero Waste USA, but it's not so combined at this point.
Do they have conferences? Do they connect? Do you talk with people from different part of the country?
They do have conferences. Maggie Gaynor is in touch with all sorts of varieties of Zero Waste Humboldt organizations across the country.
Are you optimistic that this movement is gaining steam?
Oh, absolutely. Just this week, it was in literally every news source was addressing the plastic issue and what it means for us. It was like a headline in like 15 different newspapers.
Do you think these Democratic debates helped that get it on the front page?
I wish I had heard the word plastic out of them.
You didn't hear the word plastic?
I didn't notice.
I don't remember hearing the word plastic.
No, I think they're talking about a lot of other things that are on the plate right now.
Would you make this, I mean, if you were to be, let's say, an advocate in a political sense, would you make this an issue that would be top of the line?
I think ideally if we got some of the lobbyists that have these type of things in mind, the plastic industry. I just read this week Coca-Cola and Pepsi are distancing themselves from plastic lobbyists because they can't say on one hand that they're interested in ending waste, and then on the other hand,
yeah, but
holding hands.
Are they still going to be selling plastic bottles?
I'm sure, but they're looking at more plant-based, and what they said they're going to work on using more recycled plastic and having an end game for just their plastic to be able to reuse it themselves.
Can a movement like this compete with businesses that have had lobbyists for years?
Absolutely. I think we have the numbers.
You're so optimistic.
Yeah.
What are the numbers?
Well, 8 billion human beings versus a handful of lobbyists.
Yeah, oh, so you think this is okay?
So if you
well, there you
educate
go.
enough people, then
8 billion to a few.
Yeah.
Those are good odds. All right. Well, thank you for coming. So it's Zero Waste. You have an event August 7th. Is there any way other people can get a hold of you?
We have a website, zerowastehumboldt.com. We have another event on September 13th. It's our Zero Heroes event.
Oh, wow.
And
what's that? I love the name.
That's where we'll be awarding local businesses for their works in the community to be better.
If I'm just a regular person and I go on the website, let's say, to check about zero waste, am I going to find out, is there anywhere on the website that's going to talk about what I can do around my house and how I can just change, one family at a time?
Yes, there are suggestions on there, and on our Facebook account, we are always sharing articles to encourage these sort of things. And you can always follow #ZeroWaste on any social media platform.
Look at you, you're doing
and
great.
Have suggestions on daily where I can even make improvements.
Right on. Morgan, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
So that's Zero Waste, and that's going to end this segment of Community Voices. Morgan McEvoy, Paul Bressoud, and we're going to sign off and say thanks for joining us here on Community Voices.